Hey everyone, Glenn Victor here, host of the podcast Dare Me. If you're about to tune into our program, we just wanted to give you fair warning that if you're easily triggered by mention of specific drugs, you may want to think twice about watching our program. Also, if you're easily offended by strong language, again, you may want to reconsider watching our program. We don't hold any punches. We keep it real, and it can get raw sometimes on this show. So just wanted to give you fair warning. We do hope you tune in, and we hope you enjoy the show. On average, just in the United States, about 220 people die every single day from an opiate overdose. And by the time we finish this show, 8 to 10 people are going to die from an opiate overdose. If we get even one person, one viewer with this program that we might be able to help with some of the information that's shared on here, then it's all worth it. Hey, everyone. Hey, peace. It's Glenn. Welcome to the Dare Me podcast, everyone. We're coming to you live from Hollywood, California. You can see Hollywood and LA off in the distance. Here's where we're at. This is the crib that we're at I'll be at for the next few days. So, I'm going to go over here and mount the camera and sit at this table. So anyways, looks like we already got some viewers that have chimed in, but I want to bring Dean in from Orlando, Florida. Dean, how you doing tonight, man?
Hey Glenn, how you doing? I'm doing great.
Good. So, okay, well, hey, how's the view look? Everything look good?
Everything looks great. Stop messing around with it. Let people see. What the hell?
All right. Well, I just wanted to give it that's a beautiful view behind me there. So I just wanted to show that before we got going. And now I got the camera mounted and I'm sitting here in the shade. But it is a beautiful day here in Southern California. Like I said, coming to you from Hollywood and
up in the hills, the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah. So anyways, I came down here to attend a couple of shows for all of our music fans out there. You know, Coachella is going on right now, and that's I think a little over an hour from where I'm at. And a lot of the artists that play Coachella do what they call these side shows, these side Coachella shows. And there's a club about maybe 10 to 15 minutes from where I'm at, a real famous club called the Roxy down on Sunset Boulevard. And one of my favorite artists, who's so popular right now, she's from New Zealand. Her name is Benny, is playing tomorrow night. And then the day after tomorrow, Michelle Joy Cannons, Michelle Joy's the lead singer, Cannons is playing at the Roxy. So 2 nights in a row, 2 of my favorite artists. So I came down to see them. And, staying at this crib here, not too far from the Roxy. So, speaking of Benny, I met her in Detroit, of all places, last summer. She did a show at St. Andrew's Hall, and went down there with one of my buddies, Shivang, and we were outside. We had a meet and greet, but she came outside before the show to, bullshit with everybody that was there hanging out, and got a really cool picture with her. She was so friendly and so nice to us all. Dean, do you have that picture? Maybe we could show it. Yeah, there we go. Check it out. There I am with Benny. And so I'll be seeing her tomorrow night, man. She's got that new tune that she just released maybe about a month ago called Green Honda. And I know she's about to put out some other new music too. So we're hoping she does some of the other new stuff tomorrow as well. And so then after the show tomorrow night, on Tuesday night, it's Cannons, and they just released a brand new tune a couple of nights ago called Loving You, that's off the chain. and they got some new music coming out too. So yeah, there's Michelle Joy. Look how beautiful! Oh my God, she's so gorgeous. I know.
You may need a napkin there, clean a little,
Yeah,
little
she's
drool there.
cleaning drool off. Yeah, they've been around for like 10 years, man. They paid their dues, and one of their tunes was featured on a television show on Netflix a couple of years ago, and they just took off, man. And
No
now they're
kidding.
like huge. Yeah, they're huge, and they just keep putting out one hit after another after another. Looks like we got Lori chiming in on the chat, so we want to give a
Already,
shout
huh?
out to our friend Lori. Lori's coming to us from the Orlando area, I believe.
Lori saying hello
And
and
yeah,
beautiful. I'm guessing beautiful isn't about you or
no,
me.
she's talking about the scenery.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But thank you, Lori, and thanks for tuning into the show and watching. And hey, speaking of shout outs, I got to do a couple more. I don't know if he's watching live. I see we got some other live viewers just haven't chimed in on the chat, but I owe a message to an old friend of mine who's been commenting on some of my stuff. And if you see this live, Pete, my boy Pete from Garden City, Pete Falk, or Pedro, we used to call him, man. I've been wanting to, I am so behind, Dean, on catching up on all the DMs and the comments and the messages I get on Instagram and Facebook. I literally just got to take a night and just spend, like 3 or 4 hours catching up on all that stuff. And anyways, one of the people I really want to catch up with is an old friend of mine, Pete. And he sent me some cool messages. And I will, Pete, if you see this, whether it's live or a recorded version, I'll get a hold of you and hopefully we can catch up on the ringer real soon, So a couple shout outs there to Lori and Pete. And got to talk about my boy, G. We teased in some of the promos for the show that my son Glenn was going to be on the show tonight, and we tried like hell to work out some technical difficulties. What do you say, Dean? For about at least a half hour. And I just don't know what the problem. There's some kind of bug in the system, a gremlin.
he needs to go a little old school. He needs to get some really cheap $5 wired headphones, plug them into his, he was using a, what's that microphone, a Yeti. Plug it into the Yeti, and that probably would have, something as cheap as some old, we all have them in our drawer at the house, some earbuds, some wired earbuds, and that's all he needed. Just go grab some cheap ass earbuds, and just so that he could hear us. And otherwise, he looked good. You looked good. He looked like he was ready to talk, and technology got the better of all of us tonight. So no big deal.
Yeah, we could hear him and we could see him and he could see us, but he couldn't hear us. And so we'll work that out and we'll flush it out. But we were really kind of looking forward to having our very first featured guest, episode 5 into the program, because we missed last week for a weird reason I'll talk a little bit about.
Yeah.
I told everybody it was because of the holiday. It had nothing to do with the holiday. Kind of, sort of. But anyway, before I get off, G, we might get G chiming in on the chat. And we may even try to send him a link and see if he might be able to do that while we're doing the program. But I don't know if it's going to work out this week. But G is going to be, kind of a semi-regular on the show from time to time, talking about mainly fitness, but a lot of other things too. And so I know I talked about him being on tonight in some of the promos, so just thought I should mention that. It doesn't look like we're going to get him on tonight, but we will get that worked out, and we'll have him on the show again real soon. So anyway, with all that said, let's kind of get down to the nitty-gritty of what the show is all about. Well, wait, before we do that, I do got to talk about why we weren't on last week.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man. I was on the fence about this because for our regular viewers, and of course you know this, Dean. I put out some before and after pictures, which is a real common thing and kind of a trendy thing in the Recover Out Loud community right now. Oh, hey, we want to say hello to Kelly, who just chimed in on the chat. Says hello from Detroit. She's chiming in from Detroit City in Michigan. She says jealous of the view. It is kind of cool, I will say that. So, anyways, I tried a product that I had an allergic reaction to last week, and man, I was thinking about showing some pictures, but I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just too embarrassed. I had
It's an allergic reaction. Don't be embarrassed about an allergic reaction.
Well, but I looked like hell, man. I had no reservations about putting those before and after using pictures. And how I got put on all that weight. I had no reservations and still don't. I've gotten great feedback on it, but man, the allergic reaction I had to that product, I mean, I literally was that close to going to the ER because my eyes almost were swollen closed and it just burned. So
it reminded me of Will Smith in Hitch.
Dean saw it. Maybe I'll show him down the road.
It reminded me of Will Smith on Hitch when he ate some food he was allergic to and his got all puffy and looked like he went a few rounds.
We got a question in the chat. Shabang just chimed in, and he's asking if he can send this to someone who wants to watch but doesn't have Facebook.
Hang on, I'm gonna do it real quick here. So if I kind of freak out a little bit, I will.
And then Lori even suggested finding it on YouTube.
Okay, I'm going to post the YouTube link in the chat. Boom. Cool. And there it is. You can let people know that's the chat for the YouTube or the video link for YouTube right there. So if they don't have Facebook, then they can go to YouTube and that should be
and we've been getting most of the interaction on this program from the Dare Me Facebook page, but built a really nice, clean, uncluttered Dare Me YouTube channel, and that's one. All the shows are listed there in chronological order, some of the reels, and we're really kind of hoping to grow that one. So if anybody could go to that channel, like, share, subscribe, we appreciate it. And then I see, Dean, you posted the phone number.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, if anybody wants to call in. So, we invite everybody to participate in this program any way you might want to. You can do it in the chat. You can talk on the phone. If you don't want to be on camera, you can click on the link. We can put you on camera. Be part of the conversation, So anyway, let me finish the story, and then we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty of the show. So, I kind of felt in a way like telling this story. I need to put my disclaimer that some of my old school buddies and my hood rat buddies are going to say, Glenn, you got to turn in your man card, because when I tell the story about what happened, I know there's some of my old buddies that are going to laugh about it. But anyway, hey, man, I have no reservations about this kind of stuff. I'm very secure in my masculinity. So it was a hair dye product. And, I'm no stranger to that kind of stuff. When I worked in television all them years, I would wear makeup, when I was doing, the traffic reporting over at Channel 6 here in Orlando. They had a makeup person would come in and they dyed. I had a mustache at the time and they dyed my mustache and eyebrows and all that stuff. And, my hair's just it's still, even at this age, still really blonde, So they were like, Glenn, we can bear it. Yeah, there you go. You can see Dean put up an old picture.
I had to.
Yeah, it'll make my eyes pop a little bit more. So there's this product called Just for Men. So I thought now that we're doing this podcast, I thought, oh, what the hell, man? I guess I'll do some of this old school stuff I used to do when I worked in television. And I tried it and I had this allergic reaction to it, which is real common, I guess, because when it happened to me, I looked it up online and man, if you go on Google and you type in just for men and that hair dye product that people use to dye their eyebrows in some gray or whatnot, there's a lot of pictures out there of how people had these allergic reactions, and it was pretty scary. So anyway, there was just no way I could go on last week. I looked that bad, but miraculously in like a week I'm pretty much back to normal. So my skin healed up pretty quick, but that scared the hell out of me. So anyways, that was the main reason we weren't on last week, and it just kind of worked out better that way with the holiday and all anyways. So with all that said, let's go ahead and kind of move into, what this show is really all about, because as we've talked about from the get-go, our hope is that anyone who may come across the show, whether it's live or the recorded version where we're going to get most of our views, that's going through opiate addiction and trying to get off that shit, going through opiate withdrawals. We're hoping that some of the information that gets shared on this program, whether it's from me or people that, chime in and participate in the conversation, some of the current events we talk about, whatever we can do to try to help people through that may be looking for a way out or information. That's the whole purpose of the program. And so, as I've shared on here before, it was one of them things, I got over 2 years off of that crap now. But when I was going through it and looking for information on how to get through opiate withdrawals and get out of that, I found some good stuff out there that we've shared on this program, but nothing like what we're doing. Our program's quite a bit different than anything I found out there on YouTube and Google and all the other platforms. So those are the kinds of things that we're addressing on this show. And we went into a lot of detail about, practical ideas and solutions that people can apply and try in our first 4 episodes. So if somebody comes across this particular episode, and is, interested in some of the stuff we're talking about, you may want to go back and look at the other 4 episodes. At the very least, it'll kill some time for you, because I do know, from my own personal experience, when I was going through that hell, man, it was awful, just killing time. When you're dope sick and you're trying to just get it all behind you, you have insomnia and you're climbing the walls and you're just looking for anything to, occupy your time and distract you, quite frankly, even from the horrors of those withdrawal symptoms. So these shows have been going about an hour and a half long. So, with this being the 5th episode, we can kill quite a bit of time for you, to help you kind of get through some of the horrible things you go through. And again, provide hopefully some practical solutions. Dean and I have talked about this before on the program. We like putting this disclaimer out there that, we are no medical experts and never, ever, ever would we ever claim to be. I do consider myself an expert on this topic. I've talked about my history, and battles with addiction on the program in great detail, and I'll revisit it and talk more about it again from time to time. So I speak from personal experience. But as we've talked about on this program, I ain't trying to tell nobody what to do. I say, do you, do you. All I can do is share what I did and what worked for me. Having over 2 years now clean off of the opiates after a 9 year addiction to that shit. It was horrible. I broke my ankle and the doctors gave it to me. And, I knew better than to be taking that shit. I had no business taking no narcs with my long history with battling addiction. But, I was so naive about it. I started taking them, man. And for a person like me, I got hooked real fast, and it's real common. And so, as we've all been, seeing in the news media and all, this fentanyl thing is out of control now. And, and by the way, if you're a regular follower of our program, you see we have a new open to the show, which Dean put together. And I just got to tell you, Dean, I love the open you did. And I've gotten great feedback on it. A few people, watched it, and I posted it this morning on my Facebook page to let people know. So
yeah, I saw that,
bro.
No problem.
Thanks you did a great job on that, And in that thing, we talk about, I don't make them numbers up. Those are government statistics. 220 people dying a day from an opiate overdose in the United States. That's insane, man. And so. And I mean, them numbers are ballpark figures. I'm sure they fluctuate, here and there, but still, it's just insane. So, like we say, by the time we finish this program, as many as 8 to 10 people will die from an opiate overdose, and that's just an opiate overdose. That doesn't even include other drugs and things. But this fentanyl is out of control. And then Dean and I were talking about this before the show. There's another drug out there called xylazine that is being mixed in with the fentanyl. It's like insane. Yeah, appreciate you putting that graphic up, Dean. This is an article that was in the USA Today. And any of our viewers who are involved in like the programs or the 12-step programs or, addiction and recovery services, you're well familiar with this, I'm quite sure. But this article just came out, between our last program and this one today. But, they call it tranq is like kind of the street name for it. It's a animal tranquilizer, horse tranquilizer. So,
wow.
it's being mixed in with fentanyl now. And of course, as we talked about on this program, people get strung out on them pills. And then what happens is, you can spot other people that are taking that shit a mile away. It's like I shared even with myself, man. You'll see somebody like limping, or maybe they got a bad arm or some shit, and then it's like your mind plays tricks with you, and you'll go, hey man, I see you limping, bro. You taking anything for that, man? I take some shit too, but hey, I'm running a little tight this month, man, but I can re-up next week. You think you can front me some till I get mine, and I'll pay you back. And before you know it, you got this little network of people who are all getting scripts that you're trading shit with. And then, of course, inevitably somebody says, hey, I know a guy, man, and he gets some, but he don't use them, but he flips them. You want to go in on them, and then you start getting them off the street and shit. And people are making fake pills now, man. You can buy these presses right off of Amazon, for God's sake, and they're mixing this shit up in the kitchen sink. And and they're cutting it with fentanyl, which is just unbelievable, man. And now they're mixing in the xylazine. So, it's just out of control, man. It really is. So, for somebody who may be strung out on that stuff, it's just another reason why you gotta get clean. I know for me, as I've talked about on this show, man, I tried for so long, really for like a couple of years before I got playing with the dog here at the crib. He keeps coming up to me with his little toy. Great dog. Anyway, I tried for so long, man, to kick on my own, and I just couldn't seem to do it because you get this anxiety because when you jump off that the withdrawal symptoms are going to set in, and they set in fast, man. They come on quick. I mean, within 24 hours of taking your last dose of whatever kind of opiate you're using, man, it starts kicking in. And of course, that has a lot to do with how long you've been taking it and how much you're taking and all that kind of stuff. And so, that's one of the things that's so tough to get past is that anxiety of knowing that the horrible withdrawal symptoms are coming. And so that's one of the things we talked about on the show. That guy, Chris Nall, he's one of the guys on YouTube I found when I was looking for answers. And he talks about embracing the suckiness is what he calls it. And so I say, man, embrace the misery. When you make that decision that you're going to kick and you're going to jump off, you just got to embrace the misery, man. And I promise you, I promise, you will get through it. And I'm so grateful for the people that, were my big cheerleaders and kept telling me, Glenn, you'll get through it, because when you're going through it, you don't feel like you will. You just feel like it's never going to fucking end and that it's just going to be miserable forever. It takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight. It does not happen overnight. You got to go through it though. And, you're going to get the cold sweats and you're going to get the kicks, that's why they call it kicking, because your legs start kicking, you literally get, the restless leg syndrome. But like I say, I'll call it restless limb syndrome because your arms are flapping in the wind and your legs are kicking. You feel like you're crawling out of your skin, and you just got this hamster wheel running in your chest, and all the stuff we've talked about on this program before. So if we can provide hope to anyone who may come across this show, who may be just searching YouTube like I was, getting through opiate withdrawals, Googling, getting through opiate withdrawals, and maybe our stuff comes up and they click on it and they watch it. If we can provide hope to even one person, that's what our goal is. And that's how I found guys like Chris Nall and some of the others we've talked about on this show. I would just be on YouTube fucking scrolling, looking how to get through opiate withdrawals, tips for getting through opiate withdrawals, things like that. And so that's the kind of stuff that, we're trying to do with this show. And so some of the practical ideas that we've talked about on previous episodes include Kratom, because that's how I learned about Kratom, was searching for answers to get through it. And I'm not recommending people do Kratom. I'm not recommending they don't. My one friend was razzing me like, hey, man, I like how you say, do you, and that's what I say is like, I'm not giving no medical advice on this show because I'm not a medical expert. I'm not trying to tell somebody what to do, what not to do. All I can do is share what I went through and what worked for me. And I did use Kratom. And it's all about intention. I can't imagine, people using Kratom on a regular basis, although I guess there are people that do it, and if that's you, like I said, do you. But for me, it was all about the intention of using it to help get through the withdrawals. And it did, in fact, probably take off, I would say, about 70% of the withdrawal symptoms. And, if you Google it and you read up on it, you'll find a world of information about it out there. There's different strains. One recommendation I will make is if you do decide to try Kratom, just make sure you get it from a reputable place. Like, a lot of big vitamin stores sell it, the different head shops, stuff like that. You'll see sometimes old dusty packets at a gas station or something. I don't recommend that. Go to a reputable place where they can talk to you about it, and they will. They'll be happy to answer any questions you may have, make different recommendations, and things to that nature. So, if it's something that you think you may want to try, it does help to take some of the edge off, some of the withdrawals. But again, you don't want to, switch from one thing to another, So that's what I was saying. It was like your intention, you start to wean down. And that's another thing, speaking of that, I meant to mention this on a previous show, Dean, is if someone watching makes that decision that they're going to jump off and kick, if possible, because it's not easy to do when you got shit, and you're used to taking a certain amount. But if you've made that decision that you're really going to try, then by all means try to wean down, because then the withdrawal symptoms won't be as bad. It's like if you're driving 90 miles an hour and you just hit a brick wall and stop, man, it's horrible. But if you can get down from 90 to 80 to 70, you get the idea. So if you have that kind of discipline and you're able to, I highly recommend trying to wean down before you jump off. And then it's the same thing with the kratom too. Once you jump off, if you're using kratom to help get through the withdrawals, and I ain't going to talk to you about dosage, that's something you would have to research yourself, decide what's best for you based on how long you might have been using opiates or how much you were using at the time, that kind of thing. And there's a lot of information about it out there. Like I said, if you get it from a reputable place, they can talk to you about it. But once you do that transition, then you want to start weaning down on that as well. And, that kind of reminds me of, the other, substitutes, replacement drugs, if you want to call it that, is like Suboxone and Methadone. And I was that close, to jumping on Suboxone. And it's just people I know that did it, and they just told me, Glenn, man, if it gets you off of the shit that you're risking, it could have fentanyl or something else in it, great, then do it. Just keep in mind that for some people who told me this, getting off Suboxone can be even harder than, the actual opiate, medications that I was taking.
So Glenn, let me interject here. I'm kind of curious. When you say things like weaning down, we're talking about weaning down dosage of opiates, literally?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, but you wouldn't say that for someone who's an alcoholic. You wouldn't say, "Well, wean down on your alcohol," or would you?
I absolutely would. Having had challenges with that too. If say somebody is a full blown alcoholic, drinking liquor and beer's just always there, that kind of thing. If there's any way someone can start to reduce the amount of alcohol they're putting in their system every day, then eventually when they jump off, it'll be easier. But keep it in mind, coming off of alcohol, man, is one of the most dangerous things, because you can literally go into seizures and shit. And so just want to be real careful about what I say there, because as I talk about, Dean, we don't want to give medical advice,
Right.
I will tell you that, when I was in treatment and I went through that rehab Brighton up in Michigan, they gave me phenobarbital to get through the alcohol withdrawals. Fucking walk in the park compared to the opiate withdrawals.
Right.
It was a piece of cake. I mean, honest to God, I was comfortable. I really didn't have any issues. And then they wean you down off the dose of phenobarbital they're giving you as well.
Right, because then your body's compensating for the lack of the whatever it is you're taking to get you off of something else. So
Yes.
I can see that. I can understand. I just, part of I guess in my brain power is like I'm thinking, well, I don't know. I'm not sure I would tell somebody to wean off of something to get them off. It's kind of like, you're still feeding the addiction, even though it's less. In fact, you might even, maybe it's a psychological thing where you could be just like keeping that as a crutch in a way. I don't know. I'll be just flat out honest. I have no idea. That's my experience with that.
It's a great question, Dean. And by all means, I would absolutely recommend, really, and this is just from my personal experience again, no matter what drug it might be, to wean down. There's people even who come around like, I've shared on this program many times. I'm a 12-step guy. I do NA, AA, fucking A, it don't matter. I'm more of an AA guy. But, there's people that come around the program who are just pot smokers. And I say just, because to me, that's not like a hard drug, like taking opiates or heroin or cocaine or something like that. And it's just really not kind of considered a harder drug amongst people in the drug use community, if you will. But even for people who are pot smokers, to reduce the amount you're smoking, wean down before you jump off, is going to make it a hell of a lot easier than if you're going balls to the wall smoking all day every day.
And pot smokers are literally anybody who's ever been to a concert.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
I mean, because you can't help but know that people are getting high all around you, if you're not doing it yourself. So.
Yeah, well, you know what, Dean? I also want to acknowledge we've got Lori in the chat who's she'll eat a gummy here and there at night. And so, when she says a gummy, she's talking about gummy bears. Now, that could be a couple of things because, I did use pot, weed, marijuana, whatever the fuck you want to call it, to help get through the opiate withdrawals. I also used CBD gummies. Yeah. So I don't know if Lori's referring to actual full THC gummies or just the CBDs. Maybe, Lori, if you're still listening, you could chime in on the chat and let us know. But there's people I know who swear by just the CBD gummies. It doesn't give you any kind of euphoric feeling or high or anything like that.
She's saying yes. Yeah.
Just CBD. Yeah. Not even, but there are gummies out there that'll get you high.
Never tried a gummy. I think it's probably been years since I had one of those brownies, but never had a gummy. But yeah.
See, I never fucked with the gummies because I just thought to myself, man, I'll eat that shit and all of a sudden it'll creep up on me. Oh, Shebang just chimed in. He says CBD saved his life. And I really appreciate y'all who are watching, participating in the chat. Shebang, I think you ought to call in, bro, or maybe get him on live on camera. But because I'd like to talk to you a little more, Shebang, about, how, CBD did help you in saving your life. And by the way, y'all, Shebang is a good friend of mine. Who is going to be a featured guest on this program. Anybody who follows my social media stuff. Yeah, okay, Shebang's asking how he can call in. Can you post that phone number?
I'll post the phone number.
I'd love to get Shebang on the show, or anybody actually who might call in.
We're going to try it. Go ahead and call in. I will,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, call in, Shebang, and we'll talk more about it. By the way, while he's trying to call in, I just want to mention, I met Shebang, and I know he won't mind me talking about this. He's totally open about it. Met him in the program. Sounds like he's calling
this
in.
This might be him. Oh, okay.
This might be him.
Okay, Shebang, you gotta mute your computer.
Let me turn my volume down.
Way down. With the delay, it's like, are you there? Hello?
Is that better?
Oh my goodness!
Now I can hear
Yeah, I'm watching it on my TV.
Yeah,
there's a whole on my TV. So
a whole 15-second delay there. So
Yeah,
glad to have you here.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me, man.
Hey, thank you so much for calling into the show, Shebang. We're just thrilled to have you on, man. And right before, Dean answered, I started to say that, I know you won't mind me talking about this. So you and I met through the program, the 12-step program, NA. But you are also like my soulmate when it comes to making music, man. And, I talk a lot on my stuff about how, I'm obsessed with the auto-tune software, and then I try to cover a song a day to flush it out and everything. And I just can't tell you how grateful I am to you and your brother Shu, by the way, for working with me on all the music stuff.
Oh, of course, man. We love you, man. It's all mutual. You've helped us a lot in our journeys too. Meant to cross paths. So.
Well, hey, we're going to have you, as we've talked about, as a featured guest on the show not too far down the road, and we'll go take a deep dive into the music thing. But I'm so glad you called in today because, we're talking about trying to give people practical ideas and potential solutions for getting through, whether it's opiate withdrawals or any other drug for that matter. And when you chimed in on the chat that CBD saved your life, man, I'd really like to hear more about that, and I bet our listeners would too. So tell us about that, man.
Yeah, so definitely when I come as a guest, I'll talk more about my story and experience and all that, but just a general overview. I'm in recovery, been clean for about 2.5, almost 3 years, and just the last couple months, I'm somebody that struggles with a lot of autoimmune conditions. I have gut issues, rheumatoid arthritis, and all these different issues with my body, and I was trying different treatments, different medications, and some were working, some weren't, and CBD was in the back of my mind, but I think a lot of it with like the stigma that was in my mind of like, I don't want to touch anything that's pot related because it's going to take me back. That fear was kind of holding me back from wanting to experiment with it, and just in the last 2 months, I went to a CBD shop. Now, they actually have shops that are specific for CBD, not even any THC products, no marijuana, just all medicinal gummies and tinctures and all that kind of stuff. And I went and got a bunch of gummies, and they have different compounds in it. They have like CBN, CBG, which is like really good for gut inflammation. And I've been taking these gummies for the last month or two, and I used to take prescription sleep meds, non-narcotic sleep meds for years, and in the last 2 months, I've been only taking the gummies, and I haven't taken a single sleep med. Helps me get to bed, helps me stay asleep throughout the night. It's been helping a little bit with the gut inflammation, and it's overall just impacted me in a positive way, so definitely, I'm not going to, like you said, man, I'm the same way. I'm not telling anybody to do something. I'm not telling anybody not to. This is just my experience with it. Am I going to be using CBD a year from now? I don't know. This is just in the moment. It's been helping me in my journey,
Yeah, well, hey, bro, I can't thank you enough for sharing that story with us and part of your journey because, if this helps even one person, I know I say it a lot, but that's what it's all about with this show, man. If we can help even one person to get through it or even help keep them alive even one day longer, then it's all worth it. And Lori just chimed in. She was listening to you, said she totally agrees right there with you, For me, it definitely made a difference. I got a brother that turned me on to trying some gummies when I was going through it, of just the CBD to help take the anxiety away. Because I was talking earlier on this show, man, and Shebang, I know you noticed, bro, when you're ready to jump off, you get such anxiety because the fucking misery's coming.
Oh, yeah.
And so and then of course the insomnia too, so it was a subtle effect for me, but I definitely could tell they were making a difference. They definitely were.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, like just from my personal experience, if I didn't have these health issues that I was experiencing, I probably wouldn't be using CBD because other than like the suppression and the help with the symptoms, I don't see, it's not like taking like vitamin D where, everybody's body should have it. It makes you feel better. It's like if you have some kind of illness pre-existing that could be causing nausea, pain, fatigue, it can help with those symptoms, but I wouldn't take it to just enhance my well-being. I'll put it that way. But some people might, some people might.
He just dropped the call.
Oh yeah, we lost some. I had some kind of message came in, and yeah, we lost them. But hey, Shivang, if you're hearing this and you want to call back in, by all means. But he definitely, I think, made his point.
Yeah.
And shared some valuable information. Let me ask you this, Dean.
Yeah.
Being a person who hasn't struggled with addictions the way we've talked about on this show, have you ever been tempted to try CBD for other types of things, like helping with sleep or anything like that? I mean, just out of curiosity. It makes so much progress in that kind of thing.
I'm not opposed to trying CBD once, dealing with, like, you get older, all of a sudden you realize, oh, damn, guess what? Now I need cheaters to read, and guess what? I'm a little lactose intolerant or something like that. Oh, guess what? What is it this week? As you get older, those things kind of start agreeing. I don't think I've ever had any kind of issues that it said I need to try, something, other than I don't even take aspirin. I don't take Advil.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I might take, if I take 2 Advil, it means my head is about to split open, kind of thing, which obviously doesn't happen. So I don't really have, other than sugar. So, someone offered me gummy bears, I'll be like, oh, great, something to impact my sugar intake. No, I don't think I've had that kind of, it's hard to understand addiction.
Right.
I don't know. If they could split open an addictive brain and split open one who's never had an addiction and try and find, maybe there's some chemical there that says, yep, he got it, or is it all just gateway type stuff? You start with one and looks like he's trying to come back in. I'm going to pull him back in. He'll just kind of pop in. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, I apologize. I got disconnected. Somebody gave me a call, and it completely
dropped you out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, Shebang, I'm glad you called back, but we were just, I was asking Dean if, as a person who hasn't had challenges with addictions and things, if he ever thought about taking CBD for any other conditions, because, it's come such a long way from where we were at even just 10 years ago. It's so accepted in society for various conditions now. And Dean was talking about, how as you get older, you have different aches and pains and shit like that. Like, hey, maybe I'll try some CBD, but...
Right, yeah. Well, hey, I give a little bit, lately I've been giving it to my dad, who struggles with sleep issues as well, and he was taking what's like the Benadryl and like Tylenol PMs, and I was like, man, I would rather have you take a more natural alternative than taking all those chemicals, and he's been saying it's been helping.
He has said it's been helping him, eh? Wow.
I might, right now, what works for me to go to if I have trouble sleeping, I put on Netflix, or I was putting on, I have a list of movies that always knock me out. and literally Groundhog Day is at the top of my list. So I put on Groundhog Day. Oh my God! It's not about having never seen it. See, if you all of a sudden decide to watch it tomorrow, you would probably watch the whole thing. Me, I've seen it 100 times, but I've also seen the first 5 minutes of that movie probably 1,000 times. Just because when I want to go to sleep, I can't even get him into Punxsutawney, so first 5 minutes and I'm out for some reason. Yeah. Some movies.
I'm glad you told me that, because I'm always looking for different tips to help improve my sleep. Another one my mom recently put me on is tart cherry juice. And I did a little bit of research, and tart cherry juice induces the release of melatonin, which is the sleep hormone in your brain. And I've tried it, and it worked pretty good for somebody that was using prescription meds to sleep for a long time.
You're talking raw cherries juiced.
Well, hey, you guys! I don't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to. Well, I wanted to point out we're getting some chat interaction here, and Kelly says that she's thinking about trying the CBD for migraines. That she's heard it helps, and that she's kind of at her wits' end with the migraines. So I don't know, Shebang. Have you heard any
Yeah,
information
so
about people
once
using
again, like
CBD
you said, Glenn, I'll just make the disclaimer, not a doctor. This is not medical advice. This is just from my experience, and I've done a lot of research on my end. And based on what I've seen, is that for pain, CBD does work, but it requires a lot higher of a dose, and it requires a few weeks for it to start saturating in your system. You have to take it for a while for it to build up.
I've heard that. Yeah.
That's the same thing for Groundhog Day. You have to watch it a bunch of times, and then it'll start working. But
well, hey, Kelly, if you're still listening, if you do try the CBD, I hope it does help with the migraines. And if you do, just keep in mind what Shebang just said. That's pretty common with a lot of things, that it doesn't happen instantly. It has to build up in your system, and sometimes it can take a couple weeks before you really start to feel the effects. So if you do try it, I don't recommend giving up right away if it doesn't work. And then we'd love to hear feedback from you on how it may or may not work for you if you do decide to try it. So
Funny thing-
okay, she'll let us know.
Funny thing about migraines, Rob, who commented on the show a few weeks ago, a friend of mine, a friend of ours, he actually suffered from migraines, and he went and had his ear, the inner part of his ear, pierced. And he says that he heard about this treatment, and it's just a piercing, like a bar that's
like a acupuncture type thing.
It just, he had that inside, the thing that keeps you from jamming your finger inside your ear. Wow. That little part there, he put a piercing there, and he said he has not had a migraine since. Now,
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly just chimed in on the chat that apparently she's heard of that because she said she's about to try that also. So I guess that's
something I can recommend from my experience is, I used to suffer from migraines very consistently, and I know everybody's migraines there's a different cause, right? For some people it's stress, for some people it could be some kind of head trauma. There's a lot of different things, but from my experience, you guys will see when I hop on the podcast next week that I wear these gold tinted glasses, and they're real blue light blocker glasses, and I spend a lot of time, like I make music, I'm watching TV, I'm playing Xbox, I spend a lot of time in front of the screens, and since I've been wearing these glasses, man, I haven't had a single migraine. I've had an occasional headache here and there, but I used to get like pulsating migraines around my head, and I haven't had that since, so just figured I'd recommend that too.
Well, hey, Kelly just wrote in the chat, apparently, Dean, what you're talking about, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, I think it's diath piercing, diath. So apparently it's more common than maybe we were even thinking, Yeah, so, I'd be very curious to hear how that works. Well, hey, I wanted to mention, kind of shifting gears, Dean, you were talking about the movies there. I watched a movie this past week, talking about kind of current event stuff, and it's a fairly new movie called A Good Person. And holy cow, man, if somebody's watching this show that's struggling with an opiate addiction, I highly recommend checking out that movie. It stars Morgan Freeman and this young actress, Florence Pugh. She's been in quite a few things. And, I don't want to give the whole movie away, but, man,
spoiler.
There's stuff in the trailers, so, not really spoilers, but she definitely deals, with struggling with opiate addiction in there. And, for people who are triggered easily, just a heads up, there's definitely some using scenes in there, but, man, very, very powerful movie for sure. And, I definitely recommend checking that one out. Shebang, have you seen that one, bro?
No, you've been telling me about it, man. And I remember we had a time when me and Glenn first met. We had to spend a time where we were watching a lot of addiction and recovery movies.
Sorry, let me remove that.
See the graphic there.
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. Wasn't sure.
Yeah,
You still with us, Shebang?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. You hear us?
Yeah.
Glenn?
Yes. Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Glenn?
I can't hear Glenn though.
Glenn, you hear us now? I wonder if his earbuds went.
Yeah, I don't know. I can hear you, Dean, clearly, but I can't hear Glenn.
He doesn't seem to stop sharing. Let's just kind of see what's going on. Stop sharing. How about now? Glenn, can you hear us?
Dean, I've lost audio. I don't know if you.
Oh, there we go.
But,
Talk. You're good.
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me, but I can't hear you anymore for some reason. But
I can't hear Dean
anymore. Kelly just chimed in. The pictures you showed. He said, "There you go, Dean. That's the piercing, whatever it's called. I think it's pronounced diaph piercing. I don't know."
Yeah.
But, well, I'll tell you what, Dean, it's going to be a challenge for me to be able to continue on with the show if I can't hear you or Shebang. I mean, I'm glad I can see you and know that, you're hearing me.
Can you not hear us, Glenn? I can hear both you guys.
In about an hour, and, it's obviously a little different edition of the show. I'm doing this thing outdoors here on the patio out here in Hollywood, and I'm
wondering if his earbuds
to skip the show this week.
Died.
I thought it might be fun to.
It might be. I can still hear him though, so yeah, that might be.
Well, that's his phone microphone, not his earbuds.
These Coachella sideshows to see Benny tomorrow. Cannons on Tuesday, and then I'll be back in Sacramento on Wednesday night, and then next week hopefully we'll be able to get G's Gremlins worked out in his system. We were that close. It's just he couldn't hear us, and for some reason, I'm not able to hear now either. So Shebang's texting me wondering if my earbuds died, and I really don't think that's the problem.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know what's going on now with him.
No idea.
But anyways, we'll try to have G on live next week, and we were planning on having Shebang on too as a featured guest too. So next week should be a pretty good show. It's shaping up to be really good, and I want to thank everybody. We had quite a few people. I saw at one point we had like 10 people live on the program today, and then of course lots of interaction in the chat. Shebang, thank you so much for calling in, bro. Great information.
Yeah, I apologize for messing up your guys' audio system.
No, you're fine.
And that whole thing. So. Anyway, Dean, I can see you nodding and talking a little bit, but again, bro, I still can't hear you. G just texted. It says, you have great chemistry together. I enjoyed this episode a lot. So anyways, hopefully we'll have G on the show next week. That's it from here for now. Shebang saying him and Dean can hear each other. I don't know, y'all. Maybe my earbuds did die. I don't know. I kind of doubt it.
It makes it worse. Don't do that. Oh, victims of technology. Go figure.
Oh, wait. Hey, bro, now I can hear you, Dean, over the actual phone.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the earbuds, but these things are good for like 6 hours, so I can't imagine that they would have ran out of juice.
Well, we got you now.
Yeah. Well, but on that note, I think we've already kind of full circle.
Screwed the pooch, huh?
Yeah. Well, hey, before we wrap up, Dean, is there anything you want to add before we say so long to everybody this week?
No, it's been great. I think You know, I like the idea that people are actually getting in here and sharing, you know, just their personal, you know, what works, even if it's just for sleep disorders, because that, you know, that's a common ground everybody hits, you know, whether that can be just what's going on in their brain, not shutting your brain off, what's, you know. So I love the fact that there's things that people can relate to, even if you're not suffering from an addiction, you can relate. And you know, nothing against Bill Murray, but Groundhog Day does really put me out. And you know, and so that's it. That's all I got for today.
Well, hey, I did want to mention, you know, I put a couple things out there between this show and the one we did a couple weeks ago. Just asking folks if they would to go to that Dare Me YouTube channel and subscribe, and like and share, because it does help with the algorithm. And you know, the more people that click on it, subscribe, share, whatever, the algorithms then think that the information is more relevant, and it just helps it to get out there more, come up higher in the searches if someone is typing in, you know, looking for information about going through opiate withdrawals, you know. So if anybody comes across this, anybody listening live or watching live right now, or anybody who might catch the recorded version, Dean even just put a link in the chat there. Yeah, if you do us a favor, just go to the YouTube page, and you don't have to watch the stuff, man. Just subscribe. We're trying to, because it's a really clean YouTube channel. Like I said, it's not all cluttered up with all kinds of other crap. We've got the shows all there in chronological order. Trying to do some more reels and stories and shorts, but like I shared earlier in the show today, you know, this last week, it was not a fun week for me, having that allergic reaction. I just wasn't in the mood to do a lot of shit. But, you know, I'll start trying to do more reels and get them out on the channel to make it more, you know, entertaining and put more content out there, you know. And so anyway, on that note, we appreciate everyone who tuned in today and participated in the show. We appreciate our followers. You know, we know that not everybody's going to dig it. You know, this show ain't for everybody, you know. It's just the way it is. But for those that do like what we're doing, like our content, and like following us, once again, we really, really appreciate it, y'all. And we will look forward to, you know, doing the show again next week. Hopefully we'll have G on and Shebang. And yeah, that's it from here for now, out in Hollywood, and Dean in Orlando, Florida. So thanks again, Dean, for doing all the behind the scenes stuff. And you know, all things said, considered, I think we had a pretty good show today, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Always good to, you know, to end off on a high note.
There you go. All right, everyone. Well, so long, and we'll talk to you again real soon next week. Bye.